been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was but he had that program was already going there.
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's go. Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
The golf has been mesmerizing.
They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go! That's what champions do.
What's going on, football fans? Welcome into college football today. It is time for the post-game show with myself, Kasey Hudson, and Dubs Anderson, and we have a lot of games to run through, but most importantly, a lot of exciting games to run through. College football lived up to the hype today. We also have a big game going on between Georgia and Kentucky, and Georgia hanging on by a thread. Kentucky currently with the ball, 4th and 13 at Kentucky's 48 as they try to come away with the win versus the Georgia Bulldogs, who were anticipated to have a much larger advantage in this matchup. Kent State taking a beating by Tennessee, down 71-0. This fourth quarter is starting to wind out really quick and easy. Nebraska topped Northern Iowa 34-3. Texas is the game that we've got a lot to talk about, but 56-7 is the final book there. Ole Miss with another big win, 40-6 over Wake Forest. And then the tango between Utah and Utah State. Well, let's just say Utah figured it out and pulled off a win 38-21, regardless of the back and forth. So those are some of the exciting games that were taking place in the later slate of the day if you've been hanging out with us here on SportsGrid TV for all of college football today. But don't listen to me drag on about it. We've got to talk to Dubs Anderson, get his opinion, and see what some of the top games are that stuck out to him. I don't want to make any assumptions, Dubs. First, I'll obviously be respectful, greet you, see how you're doing, how your Saturday is going before we figure out how some of these players' Saturdays ended up.
Captain Kasey, happy Super Saturday here on the Sports Grid. You're going to make one promise. No Matthew McConaughey talk as we go through the next hour. But I tell you what a Saturday. I mean, the Crimson Tide, they're absolutely rolling. The defending champs, they are looking very shaky. And we'll be talking about Texas. We'll be talking about the Longhorns. It won't be Matthew McConaughey and it won't be Quinn Ewers. It's another Manning with that magic down there in Austin. So what a Saturday afternoon it's been, and a couple of great games still in the mix here for Saturday night.
I know. Well, you kind of took the air out of my tires there because I was ready to be like, hey, did you see the sweaty Matthew McConaughey on the sidelines? Like, I don't think he's allowed to miss a game. I swore I just saw on social media that he was somewhere else, but you said no McConaughey talk. I will honor that. All right. So why don't we go ahead and talk about how the Roll Tide rolled through another victory today, 42-10. This is not a performance where you can particularly continue to be like, hey, this is one of the top dogs in the league. I still don't think that the compete has been there for this team, but you still see another decent performance, or I can't say decent, that's disrespectful, a strong performance out of Jalen Monroe. 196 passing yards, 3 tutties, but also the ground game. 75 rushing yards to help his team add to the tally. What'd you see in this matchup that you liked or that was a great takeaway?
Yeah, this was a bit of a referendum game for me. Bama finally faced their first test there for De Boer, and I'll tell you what, they passed it with flying colors. Jalen Milroe, he was absolutely fantastic. It counted for 5 touchdowns there, 42-10, going into Wisconsin to take down the Badgers. It wasn't great news for Wisconsin. They lose star quarterback Tyler Van Dyke to injury, so that was a massive loss for them, and it looked like they were trying to keep the mix there going through the first quarter, second quarter. But once we hit that third quarter, Bama absolutely rolled in this one. Both teams came into week 3 in the college football undefeated. So for Bama, they needed this big performance. And I tell you what, given a couple of the other big favorites in the betting market have looked a little shaky going through Saturday here, Alabama continues to improve. They continue to impress. And Jalen Milroe, we talked about it last week, Kasey. He is right in the mix for that Heisman conversation. Quinn Ewers, he's gone down. Jalen Milroe, he stands up with a monster performance there for Alabama getting that victory.
Yeah, and as of right now, Jalen Monroe sitting at plus 700 odds, second place behind Cameron Ward for Miami, Florida. I got a bit of a rave going on to keep the Saturday night vibes very much alive here. So why don't we take it to one of the next most exciting things on the slate, or probably just exciting for Michigan, because they were able to pull off a win. In their book, they were kind of able to redeem themselves. They take on Arkansas State, the Wolves, to be more specific. And, it wasn't an overwhelming performance. Warren still kind of showing some struggles, but he did pull off 122 passing yards, 3 nasty interceptions, but it was the ground game for them with Mullings. 153 rushing yards is basically why Michigan walked away with a W today. So how does this change the outlook of their upcoming season? You barely pull off a win, or you pull off a mega loss last week, and then you get this narrow escape to Arkansas State this week.
It's not good enough, Kasey, and maybe it's because, it's Saturday night and I haven't hit the clubs yet, but I'm a little salty about this one. The defending champs do not look like national contenders right now. They were embarrassed in Ann Arbor last week for week 2. The Big House was far from Berman here for week 3. Arkansas State came in playing some good football, but Michigan were 23-point favorites, and they get it done 28-18. They had to rally just to get the victory, and let's start with the quarterback, Davis Warren. He was terrible. 3 interceptions. He was replaced in that second half. That was not good enough. Yes, the run game, the foundation is absolutely there behind Caleb Mullings. He had a monster performance, 153 rushing yards with 2 tutties. But for Michigan, they're going to have to do better. And I'm just not seeing how they get to that next level. Do they keep Orji at quarterback? He really doesn't have that pass game, but he's a bit of a dual threat. He can use the wheels, and he's probably going to scare the opponents more so than what we've seen here from Davis Warren. So there's a couple of tough calls that have to be made in Ann Arbor. But Michigan, they get the win. They keep themselves, relevant in the mix. And thankfully, there's 12 teams going into the college football playoffs once it's all said and done. But they're going to have to show us a lot more than this. Style points count for everything in college football. And right now, there is no style to the way the Wolverines are getting it done.
Yeah, and the most disappointing part about it is that there was some excitement and a lot of support behind the coaching staff and what they were going to be able to kind of nurture from the shambles of last year. But it just seems like they're not on the same page yet. I think that there's kind of a theme for some of the big teams today, and it's a lack of rhythm and a lack of cadence. We'll talk about that as we hone in on the teams that I specifically have in mind. But let's rate performances for a second, Dubs. If you feel like you accomplished something, you walk away with a win, what are some traits that are like, we can't celebrate this win, it wasn't good enough? Because I have one team in mind, and it's LSU running away with a win versus South Carolina, but I don't know if they could really pat themselves on the back. 36-3, the game was really in South Carolina's hands. Mind you, they lose their quarterback. They have a number of injuries piling up, and they are still clipping at the heels of LSU throughout that entire game to fall short by just 3 points.
Yeah, again, not good enough. South Carolina had every chance to square this one up at the death there, but they missed that field goal, so it wasn't meant to be. And for LSU, I guess it was a bit of a shock in Sin City for week 1 going against USC. And then we go, well, maybe USC are better than what we thought. Maybe LSU, we can chalk that one up for Brian Kelly. Out the gates, there was no chemistry, there was no cohesion. But for what we saw out there today, that wasn't good enough. 36-33 to just hold on. Garrett Nussmeier, who had a lot of expectations coming into this season, I mean, he put up a lot of mistakes there. Yes, he showed a bit of grit, a bit of character to sort of rally the troops and ultimately go on to get the score there. But a little concerning for me. But I guess in terms of the positives, they now go back home and they will start a little 3-game homestand taking on the Bruins next Saturday. So maybe they can build a bit of confidence through a tough rock fight, arm wrestle, if you will. But if we're looking at what counts as a victory where we can build confidence from, I look towards the betting side of things there as well. At 6.5, unable to cover that number going against South Carolina. That's not good enough.
Oh, not good enough. I agree. And then just to kind of put this into perspective for football fans, I mean, LSU really ran away with 417 total yards in comparison to South Carolina's 398. So they didn't really have a triumphant performance over the Gamecocks, who just could not stay healthy to finish through the game. Maybe Darius Rucker was good luck. I mean, I know that the Gamecocks didn't win, but still, like, you get an opening performance by Mr. Wagon Wheel, and then you've got Sandstorm going through the audience. I mean, it would have been everything to make every player want to run through a wall or sing a nice melody to at least keep them calm when that loss came about. I don't know, but we still have a lot of great games to get to. Maybe an upset alert in the mix, maybe a disappointment by a few other big, I want to say top 5 teams, which means you got to continue to hang out with myself and Dubs to figure out where we're going to land with how teams performed, what teams were underwhelming, overwhelming, and maybe where our bets lie. I'm going to take one on the chin this evening, but stay with us here on SportsGrid TV to continue college football rundown.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
The golf has been mesmerizing.
They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go! That's what champions do.
Welcome back into college football today, the post-game show with myself, Kasey Hudson, and Dubs Anderson. I'm trying to find the perfect opportunity to throw in one of your 3 new nicknames I thought of into the mix, but I gotta make sure I place it properly.
You've had a week, Kasey, and there's 3 new nicknames. I mean, you've just got to give us a little sample here. What's one of the 3?
No. It's supposed to be the element of surprise. We're working on the element of surprise, okay? And speaking of surprise, I guess Darius Rucker was not the ultimate key for the Gamecocks to walk away with a W. But again, they were the better team today, win or lose. But a team that tried to walk away with a win, a team that really tried to put their best foot forward, is going to be Boston College versus the Missouri Tigers, or Mizzou, as I should correctly call them. And not too shabby. I mean, lose by 6 points. Mizzou walks away with this one 27-21. BC kind of having a struggling start. Well, not a struggling start, actually. They came out hot, but they started to fizzle out a little bit once they got into the third quarter and then tried to make a charge in the fourth quarter. It's still Thomas Castellanos with the top performance, being one of the top players on BC's roster. But what's some of the excitement that you saw in this one?
Yeah, I think you highlighted their the best of a beaten bunch for Boston College. Castellano goes for 249 passing yards, 3 tutties, had 2 interceptions. But we saw Bill O'Brien after this game. I mean, he was lumping on the praise to his young quarterback there. So it wasn't enough, but I'll tell you what, they'll take a lot of confidence going from number 6 in the nation. So Missouri 27-21 at home, getting the score and taking a look at what worked for them. It was all about that run game. Nate Knoll puts up a monster Saturday afternoon, 121 rushing yards from 22 attempts. So they really set the foundations there by getting it done on the ground. And for Missouri, now 3-0, undefeated at this point of the season. And for Boston College, I tell you what, they're ranked 24th coming in to week 3. This is a team that will continue to make the bettors a lot of money. They cover that spread again here this afternoon, and they have a very tough out. They'll keep it a low scorer. They're going to fight until the death. They lose in this one by 6, but I tell you, we can take a lot of confidence away from this one as a bettor and as a supporter there for Boston College and the Eagles.
Yeah, they're against the spread statistics come the close of the season. It's probably going to be off the charts, and I don't hate it. I had to give them credit for the fact that they always snuck up and beat my team, and it looks like they're going to stay in a close contention with most teams throughout this season. That works for me, especially when Castellanos continues to go to town. Just less turnovers, buddy, but he's going to get there. As for a team that, I don't want to say that they put on a show, but I mean, when you close out a team, you give them absolutely no chance to find the end zone, 0 celebrations, 0 tutties, just no action. This is going to sound ridiculous. No action for Ball State, but Miami runs away with a 62-0 victory, and it's Cam Ward who just continues to stack the numbers. 346 passing yards, 5 tutties, and I mean, it was a team effort. Ground game goes to work. You got Allen with 100-plus rushing yards, and then you've got George with 100-plus receiving yards. I was checked every single box in terms of this team coming out and bringing the wrecking ball. What did you think about Miami's performance, and more particularly Cameron Ward?
Yeah, you know, we're talking about style points at the top of the show, not just for Miami, but for Cam Ward, who's right in the mix here of the Heisman conversation. There was a delay in this one. They had a bit of lightning, so a bit of bad weather rolling through, but that wasn't enough to stop the onslaught of points. 62-0 there over Ball State. They blanked him, and Cam Ward, he put up a monster evening here. 346 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, and he was very efficient with his passing. You look at that QBR, that quarterback rating, very impressive there for Miami. So they had to get the win in this one. That was never going to be up for debate, but in terms of the fashion that they got it done, it was dominating. I tell you what, that's going to take a lot of confidence for them moving forward, and it will take a lot of attention in the betting market for Cam Ward. He was plus 750 in the Heisman market coming into week 3. I think we see that number drop significantly as we move through the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, and I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit because with their schedule coming up and with some of the conversations around who was going to sit on top of the ACC heading into this season, of course, nobody thought that FSU was going to have the decline that they are having. Clemson still hasn't struck at anybody as one of the top teams, and if they were going to be the team to sneak in, that's what I was putting my money on. But you've got Miami, who coming down here now has South Florida to take on, Virginia Tech next, California, Louisville, Florida State, Duke, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and then Syracuse. I mean, between this schedule and between what we've seen from FSU and Clemson, is there any value in them sitting on top of the ACC, or do you see value elsewhere in this?
Yeah, look, I think they're certainly going to be one of the teams to beat, but it's a pretty light schedule as we go through the next few weeks there. South Florida and Virginia Tech at home. Then they go on the road to take on Cal. Louisville, that's probably going to be their first test. And then they take on the Seminoles after that. So if you're looking for the buy low spot, you're probably not going to get a better price than right now. And again, in terms of what the odds makers would see and adjust, anything short of 62-0 and drummings over the next 3 weeks. That's probably enough for them to lose stock. So it's never easy when the bar and the standard is set so high, but absolutely, they are making every start a winner there. So the Canes at that kind of price, absolutely live here. The ACC amongst a conference where there's still a couple of question marks.
Yeah, I will say this. We've got a little under 2 minutes, but a conversation so worthy of continuing on the other side of the upcoming break. Oregon versus Oregon State. I mean, we got to talk about all the Heisman potentials, right? And you've got Dylan Gabriel, who helped me out a little bit. So there's one less red check mark on my report card at the end of the night, just so everyone knows. But came in with 291 passing yards, 8 passing yards below where I needed, or I had him, thankfully. Not to mention is that they controlled the game for the most part from top to bottom. Probably one of the most complete performances we have seen out of Oregon thus far. Less than a minute, but your initial reaction seeing Oregon walk away with a 49-14 victory.
Better. And this really was a test there going against the conference rivals, the Beavers. They were grabbing 14 points. It wasn't enough. So we needed the Ducks to go quack, quack and show us a big performance. We absolutely got it for star quarterback Dylan Gabriel. He continues to impress. He continues to improve. He finally got a bit of protection from that offensive line there. 291 passing yards, 2 tutties. So I thought he was really strong. And don't forget, Oregon were ranked number 3 coming in for the preseason polls. They finally starting to look like that. So I think a lot of confidence to take from that one.
Yes, definitely more to dive into. I thought that the Beavers were going to come up with a bit of a stronger game plan, or at least more push. I had them covering. I take full responsibility. But as Dubs and I get ready to dive back into this, don't go anywhere. We got more college football today. Post-game show on the other side of this quick break.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
The golf has been mesmerizing.
They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go!
That's what champions do.
back at it with college football today, the post-game show. Kasey Hudson hanging out with Dubs Anderson, and we are just talking about some Heisman guys that are making a race here. But unless you have any final thoughts on Oregon versus Oregon State, Oregon getting hot at the right time, picking up momentum at the right time, probably one of those teams that are only going to continue to get better as the season goes along. There is a quarterback that we do need to talk about who it was or is still in the Heisman conversation, but the numbers have changed drastically. Dubs, I think you know who I'm talking about. You told me I couldn't talk about Matthew McConaughey, but what about Quinn Ewers?
Quinn Ewers exits the game there for the Longhorns just a couple of hours ago. Not great news for Texas, but I guess every loss is someone else's opportunity. Arch Manning steps up to the plate, and I tell you what, this kid's an absolute superstar, and he looked like that the first snap. He sends one over 15 yards, puts a receiver into the house. He scrambles for, I believe, the longest rushing touchdown we've ever seen from any of the Manning family. So Arch Manning finally gets his opportunity there for the Longhorns. They're putting on an absolute clinic around here for Saturday night. For Quinn Ewers, we're going to have to wait and see what really lays ahead for this injury. I guess it's good news that we saw Quinn Ewers after the halftime break. He was in street clothes, but he was back there on the sideline. So not good for Quinn Ewers, and we've seen the betting market reflect that. And for Arch Manning, I tell you what, he's trending up in the right direction. Came into week 3 at 40-1, plus 4,000. Rightfully so, because Quinn Ewers, for me, Kasey, going through the first couple of weeks, I've been harping on about this is my guy in the Heisman conversation. Well, if he's not there, if he's going to miss a bit of game time, if Arch Manning takes this thing and runs with it, well, we've seen the bettors reflect that from 40-1 into 25-1, and I think that number will continue to shorten up.
Absolutely. And plus, it's nice to know that if your QB1 goes down, that you still have a team in capable hands. And it was a 67-yard run that Arch Manning came out with. He went from QB to RB in a matter of seconds, and probably the most flattering thing when it comes to pumping the wheels for the Manning family. But I think we have a lot of more exciting football to look out for when it comes to the Texas squad. Just to put it into perspective, if Arch Manning's name starts getting tossed around, if he helps the Longhorns continue on a stride throughout the next couple of weeks, schedule-wise, Texas now has to take on LA Monroe, so pretty light there. Then they move on to Mississippi State. After that, it's Oklahoma, which we saw the Sooners kind of let off the gas versus Tulane earlier, so that couldn't be that big of a competition for Texas. The big competition being October 19th versus Georgia. Then you got Vanderbilt. They can always sneak under the radar. I'm talking about back-to-back games where you might want to look at the spread coverage. Then you got Florida. You already know my opinion on Florida, but outside of my bias, I want to say unbiased opinion, but outside of my bias for Florida, unless they get a massive ground game by November 9th, it's Texas's for the bag. Arkansas, Kentucky, and Texas A&M to round out the schedule. So if this is Manning's team, I don't think anybody has anything to worry about. He closes out the day, 223 passing yards, 4 tutty, and an all-around massive effort by the entire squad. Couple other games that we've got in the books for today, probably on the more exciting side. I don't know if you caught West Virginia versus Pitt. It's funny because Dave Sherapan always dresses in colors and teams and says that he's not rooting for them, even though that's the team that always ends up walking away with the win. West Virginia basically had full control of that game, but Pitt came in strong in like the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. Did you catch this one, Dubs?
I didn't, but you know that's so Sharapan harping on about his old Pittsburgh Panthers there. 38-34, they rallied 14-10 in that fourth quarter. Taking a look at the standout performers, and I feel like this is a game where there's always plenty of juice on the line. Eli Holston, he goes for 301 passing yards, 3 tutties, no interceptions. So clinical, efficient play. They really lent on that run game. Holstein, he was getting out of that backfield. He scrambles for 14 carries, close to 60 yards, and then Desmond Reed was backing him up as that 1-2 punch to support the young quarterback. So a big win here for Pittsburgh. The Panthers, they're now 2-0 at home, 3-0 to start their season. And for the Mountaineers, they now move to 1-2. So a tough loss for West Virginia, but a very exciting game there, 72 points combined. So if you overs bettors who like to see a bit of a track meet, we absolutely got it in this one. And shout out to my guy, Dave Sharapan. Biggest Cavs in the business, Kasey, but he still owes me a lid. I've been waiting 6 months for my new hat, Sharapan. So if you're watching, send me my hat. Thank you.
Uh-oh. I didn't mean to set that one up. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm so sorry. But hopefully you get him the right hat so that he's supporting the right teams. And I'm not going to force anybody's hand here, but we know what teams I support, therefore which teams Dave should be sending you lids for. Outside of that, we do have to get into some of the other top games coming down the pipeline. And don't worry, guys, I'm humble. We'll talk about FSU and all of their madness earlier in the day. So don't go anywhere. Continue to hang with us here on College Football Today, the post-game show. And stick with us on the other side of this break on SportsGrid TV.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
The golf has been mesmerizing.
They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go! That's what champions do.
Welcome back into College Football Today, the post-game show, hanging out with Kasey Hudson and Dubs Anderson, and we were just chatting about all of the great games and slates and a lot of Heisman potentials in the mix of the conversation. I would say quality Heisman performances, and then outside of that, guys whose names might get thrown in the pot after coming up strong with big performances. But talking about big performances, Dubs, we were kind of talking about it outside of the break. This team hurt both of our cards, and more specifically, it was Purdue's Hudson card that completely ruined a few things for me, but it's fine. I'm not stressing about it. Notre Dame gets a 66-7 victory over Purdue. They needed it, but heading into this matchup, Purdue was 1-1 against the spread, Notre Dame being 2-1. And I thought that I was brilliantly approaching this game, but what did you see? We saw Fighting Irish have to run through 3 different quarterbacks, some irritation, still working for Riley Leonard there beforehand. I heard that he was having some shoulder difficulties, but we saw a number of things, and at least they came out with a W.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, no rushing concerns there for Riley Leonard, star quarterback for the Fighting Irish. So in an afternoon where he only put up 112 passing yards, and keep in mind they did win 66-7 over the Boilermakers, accounts for 3 rushing touchdowns, 11 carries for over 100 rushing yards there. So we know how Riley Leonard can get it done. We know how the Fighting Irish are going to have to move forward in this one. For the Boilermakers, they didn't really show up. It was a non-event from the jump. I think they were down there, 42 points at the halftime break. So they're never going to get back into this one. And I tell you what, for Hudson Card, rightfully so there, Kasey, that you're buying into his stock, because what we saw in the first game there for Purdue. 24 of 25 completions, over 270 passing yards with 4 tutties. It wasn't the same version of the star quarterback there for Purdue. And I guess on the betting side of things, you've got to be so cautious. It's like when you look at the Sunday slate in the NFL, where we're only in week 3 of the college football regular season. We're still trying to figure out who a lot of these teams are. Who have they actually been going against? And can we really take full confidence away out of from, some of these lesser opponents? So for the Boilermakers, they had a real test out there this afternoon. They never showed up. They were never in the fight. For Riley Leonard, I think we like what we saw there with the wheels, but that passing is going to have to get a bit more potent. They're going to have to show us a few more looks there on the offensive side once they start going against some of the tougher teams in the nation. But for the Fighting Irish, they went into Purdue. They got what they had to, 66-7. It was emphatic.
Yeah, they're a hard team to gauge because you see quality sparks in their performance, them being Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. But then you also look back and you're like, can they really compete with some of the top 15 teams in the nation? But it's still very early. I tend to get ahead of myself. What I didn't expect to get ahead of myself on was a Huddy supporting a Huddy. I mean, I thought that was going to be simple science for the day. How do I go against Hudson Card? And guess what I had him at? Just over 14.5 rushing yards. No. He decided to go for a negative 42 rushing yards. That's my luck. That's my exact luck when a Huddy supports a Huddy. But continuing to talk about luck or lack thereof, FSU coming up short yet again. Memphis in full control of this game. And wow, the family text looked a lot like, there goes another busted red zone play. Oh, look at that turnover. Oh my God, here we go again. I'm shutting this one off. I mean, maybe you had a little bit more enthusiasm for this game, but my family and I could not keep it on. It's tough to watch FSU right now, but maybe you've got some positives in this matchup between FSU and Memphis.
Walking in Memphis? What about Memphis walking all over Florida State there? I tell you what, Memphis, they've been playing some really good football to start the campaign. I really wasn't buying a lot of stock. And speaking of stock, well, it's certainly dropping there for Florida State. But look, this was a massive win, a monster win for the Memphis program. This is something they absolutely needed. They can build around going for the rest of this season and for the next couple of years. For DJ Yu, and it's just going to be DJ Yu. I'm not even going to try and jump in for this one. Complete 16 of 30 passes there for 201 yards. No, I'm not saying it, K-Hud. An interception, really struggled to get that offense moving in the right direction. I mean, this one was an absolute pillow fight, a snooze fest, if you will. So for the Seminoles, for a team that I guess had, decent expectations coming into a new year, they certainly have underwhelmed from what we have seen thus far.
All right. Well, I mean, I thought you were going to give me some positivity for the Noles, but I guess there's not much there. But everybody is definitely keeping track of the stock dropping because we thought they were going to come into the season with a much larger chip on their shoulder. I guess keep it to the theme of fizzled out Florida teams. AA, talk about Texas A&M and Florida and the fact that people thought that Florida was going to have these turnaround moments and get back in the game. I didn't particularly see them ever in the game. Their run game is probably the most consistent thing they have for them, but then it locks up, and then they had a lot of miscues. They looked like they were confused on their scheme. I mean, I'm not particularly sure what the identity is of this roster and this team right now, and I'm not saying it because it's Florida, but I think the 33-20 loss, even though they started to get back in the second half there, goes to the fact that we don't know what Florida is supposed to offer this season. But what did we at least see positively out of the Aggies more so, and maybe even out of Florida?
Yeah, more questions than answers from what we saw from the Gators here this afternoon. Not good enough. The Aggies get it done 33-20. Now 2-1 for the season, 1-0 in conference play. Marcel Reed was strong there with the passing game without being fantastic, just 178 passing yards, but really efficient. Didn't make the silly decisions, was reading it really good, was very quick in the pocket as well, which you want to see there for the young quarterback with Texas A&M. So again, another really strong win. That they weren't challenged in the opening half there. They led 20-0. They could lean on that run game. Levon Moss, he was pretty strong there with the 18 carries, totaling 110 rushing yards. Didn't get one into the house. I was expecting a few more points in this matchup. But again, the Aggies, they go in there, they get it done, and demolish the Gators. It was a bit closer than, I guess, what we thought. Not as many points there for you overs bettors, but for the Aggies, they'll take this one and move on to the next.
Yeah, and a hard part gauging this matchup initially was the fact that quarterback, I want to say Connor Wigman, if I don't destroy his name, was not able to play. But a couple days ago, most people realized that was probably going to be the status of the quarterback. So to be able to do that without your QB1 in the mix, we already discussed how crucial that is to have an effective season while the Gators try to figure everything out. Another team that was down their QB1 would be Utah, taking on Utah State, another Aggies team in the mix. I got very confused by this one a couple of times when I heard everyone betting on the Aggies versus the Aggies and the Aggies and the Aggies. Well, there's two Aggies. One walked away with a W. One stayed and kept a game very close versus Utah. It was Isaac Wilson who helped his team pull off the victory today. 239 passing yards, 3 tutties, only 1 interception. But this game went back and forth for a little bit. I mean, it was really anybody's game through the third quarter for the most part. What exciting things did you see, at least out of Utah, who continues to roll?
Yeah, and, Cam Rising was certainly missed out there in action, but we saw Isaac Wilson coming into the game last week, and he looks to be every bit of the superstar that we've seen from his brother, Zach Wilson, the mama's boy, who's playing in the NFL now over at Denver. I still think he's got plenty to offer, and don't get me started on that tangent. I already covered that there last week. But look, big win here for Utah, 38-21. Isaac Wilson, whether it's going to be this year that he surpasses Cam Rising or going into the next, 3 touchdowns, had the 1 interception, but he plays very similar to his brother. He's a bit of a dual threat. He's got a really strong cannon on him. He can use the wheels. He reads the field really strongly here. So I thought it was a strong win for them. They had to put up 10 in the last to just get it home, but they're still undefeated for the year there. Without Cam Rising, they'll take a lot of confidence from this victory going against familiar foes in Utah State.
I knew you were going to bring up the Wilson thing. I wish we had that clip of you giving so much love to Zach Wilson, because you did give us the explanation. I give you credit for that. You did give an explanation on live TV, full support and stamp of approval and endorsement. But we do still have a couple games to run through here on college football today, and it still doesn't get dull. I mean, we've got Oklahoma, who had a narrow escape at 1 point versus Tulane. We got Michigan State that put a beating and walked away with 40 points, shutting out their opponent today. So don't go anywhere. Dubs and I still have a lot more to get into here on SportsGrid TV.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
The golf has been mesmerizing.
They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go!
That's what champions do.
are watching College Football Today, the post-game show, as we run through this exciting Saturday slate. A lot of quality games in the books, a lot of performances that are probably going to have you changing some things on your betting cards down the stretch here. And no, that's not just because of some of the injuries. That's some of the underdogs and dark horses that got into the mix. An underdog performance that I thought was going to have a little bit more potency was going to be Tulane versus the Oklahoma Sooners. Fun fact that nobody asked for. The Sooners versus FSU, September 17th in 2011, is why I chose to watch and fall in love desperately with college football. But that's another story for another day, Dubs. So I'm not going to bore you with that one. What I am going to bore you with is the fact that I thought Tulane was going to put up a bigger fight. Sooners completely owning the first half. I mean, they open up controlling the pace in the first quarter, put up a tutty, grabbed the offense for Tulane. But, I mean, Jackson Arnold was a threat, not only in the air, and no mega points there because only 169 passing yards, but it's his 97 rushing yards that brought all of the attention to Oklahoma today.
Yeah, test in this one. You highlighted Jackson Arnold. He was fantastic, running for the 2 touchdowns and throwing for another one there. Going against who I think is one of the best teams in the nation. Tulane weren't given much of a shot for this one, but they stood up. And I'll tell you what, you look back to last week, they rolled Kansas State, and I had question marks. Was that a one-off? Was that a bit of a fluke? If we're trying to highlight ATS teams who can cover the spread, cover a line moving forward, I know they've just missed the mark here going against the Sooners, Oklahoma at home for the Saturday slate. But this could be a very tough team going on the road in their building. So keep an eye on Tulane to build a bit of momentum off this one. It was a tough beat, but they showed a lot of character and a lot of promise going against Oklahoma.
Yeah, and they were a team that proved that excitement last week, and you said it perfectly. Moxie in the second half, they're a team that's going to probably pull off some pretty impressive performances. Looking ahead at the rest of their schedule coming up here shortly, we've got Tulane taking on Louisiana, then probably a pretty fun battle between them and South Florida. South Florida has been one of those teams that's been sneaky good. We did see them put up a big fight versus Alabama 2 years in a row. After that, they got UAB, Rice, North Texas, Charlotte, Temple, Navy, which could be an impressive ground battle between Tulane and Navy on November 16th, and then close out versus Memphis, who we saw put a beating on FSU today. We're not going to talk about it any further. I already said my piece on that one. A team that needs some roses is going to be Michigan State. I mean, Prairie View A&M, probably heard of them twice in my life, but that doesn't matter. We've seen dark horses rear their beautiful head before, but Michigan State, I mean, 1-2 against the spread, starting off the season 3-0. We see some characters on their roster that are worth talking about. Cameron Peters for the Panthers not able to get into a rhythm, but I mean, Aiden Childs, 173 passing yards, 1 tutty, but a clean slate of no turnovers. Did you see anything exciting in Michigan State's game?
I thought it was pretty impressive. To blank the Panthers 40-0 is a pretty consistent performance as well. A lot of mouths got fed on the offensive side of this one. So for old Michigan State, the Spartans, they continue to impress amongst the Big Ten contenders there. They start the campaign 3-0, and they've got a couple of really good tests coming up. Next week, they'll go on the road to take on Boston College. They then get to square off with Ohio State in their building. Then they go up to Oregon to take on the Ducks. So I guess this was the final tune-up going against Prairie View, and this is what you want to see. 40-0. The defense, I think you can take a lot of confidence from that performance. They've held a couple of teams to 34 points through the first 3 weeks here of the regular season. So they're not allowing a lot of points. Maybe look to them as a couple of low totals moving through the next portion of the regular season. But the next 3 weeks, they're going to mean everything for this season and how far they really want to go here for the Spartans.
College football is only about to get hotter. All right, back in the hot seat, Dubs. Your favorite player of the day?
Oh, I mean, it's gonna be Arch Manning, and that's coming from the guy who's got a considerable ticket on Quinn Ewers in the Heisman conversation. For what Arch did to come in and do it with such wow, with such pizzazz, to use the wheels, the arm look fantastic. He's still so young. He's probably going to be down there in Austin for another 3-4 years. To have that label, that name, that expectation, and to step up and absolutely go even one past that was really impressive for Texas, who are considered to be one of the best teams in the nation. So that was the biggest wow. That was the biggest, I guess, impression for mine. And I tell you what, the biggest disappointment, it's got to be Georgia. Now, I know they've held on to get the win, but it's only just 13-12 over Kentucky in Lexington. That's not good enough. So stock is coming up for Arch Manning. Stock is going down for Carson Beck and the Bulldogs. Will they hold on to that number one spot after it's all said and done here for week 3? Time will tell.
And I'm glad that you brought that up because, I mean, they finally had a little bit of competition. Talking through college football today here on SportsGrid TV, I did mention the fact that Kentucky's run-stop defense could present a challenge, but their pass defense might not be as strong. They did get some new players in that backfield that are going to serve up some different looks, and it looked to pay off for Kentucky. I mean, they got their hand on a number of passes, deflecting them, kind of shaking up back a little bit there. Walks away with 160 passing yards only. 0 touchdowns, but also 0 tutties. He does do well at keeping a clean slate when it comes to the turnover chatter, but I mean, if Kentucky is putting a stoppage to some of your progressive offense, then that's going to put a lot of question marks in the paint. Etienne at least lived up to the hype of him being on the Georgia roster, 79 rushing yards, averaging about 4.2 per carry. And then when it came to airing out the ball, it wasn't all doom and gloom. No, love it. 89 receiving yards through 6 receptions. So a few things that Georgia's going to have to go back to the drawing board with, but I love anything that shakes up the typical outlook on anything. So as I mentioned, college football is going to stay hot. We still have plenty to get into. And I guess on the other side of this quick break, Dubs, we've got an accountability session. I'm going to let you guys see how well our best bets wits, which means go absolutely nowhere. Stick with us here on College Football Today on SportsGrid TV.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
The golf has been mesmerizing.
They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go! That's what champions do.
All right, football fans, one more rally here on College Football Today, the post-game show with myself, Kasey Hudson, and Dubs Anderson. And, well, I already made the announcement before we cut to the break, Dubs. It's accountability time. I wonder if it's better. You made it ladies first last time, so I guess it's only fair that you show your card because we're just going to leave fans probably a little in awe of my choices of the day. But I was not far off. Like, I can't say it was my fault. It wasn't bad decisions. It was unfortunate rollouts. So, Dubs, what are your final thoughts on your cards for the day?
Yeah, and it's never our fault. And I wasn't being nice by letting you go first last week. I was just trying my absolute best to make sure that the segment would run short enough so we didn't have to flash mine up there. But hey, yeah, we had a decent weekend of it here for week 3 in the college football. Let's start Oregon State, the Beavers. They were grabbing 14. This one goes down. They lose 49-14. Embarrassed there by the Ducks. The Ducks step up.
Dubs, I don't want to cut you off. Gentlemen, where's his X's and check marks? Did we decide against
No, we don't need that. No, we don't need that. I can just articulate.
There it is.
Thank you.
Top production team in the league. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, let's go. I think there's a couple of typos there. I'll be sending an email to HR on Monday morning. But yes, anyway, so the Beavers, they do not cover. That one goes down. Georgia, Kentucky. I mean, Georgia hold on in a thriller, 13-12. We had the unders at 46.5, so we're going to cash that one. Bama, Jalen Milroe, dominant performance here on Saturday. 31.5 was the team total. They get the win 42-10. So Bama with the bounce. And what a matchup we've got coming up there for week 4 from the Crimson Tide. We had Quinn Ewers, unders on those passing touchdowns. Obviously, that's one of the biggest storylines from week 3. Quinn Ewers leaving that game for the Longhorns. Arch Manning comes in, absolutely impresses. And then we threw a little plus money peach. Your boy absolutely loves picking the plus money peaches. We took Notre Dame win margin. So not to cover the spread, but it's a nice form of line betting. 1-13 win margin at plus 173. So we're chasing a bit of a return. They win 66-7 in blowout fashion. So the plus money peach does not come in 3 for 5. So a decent little week 3, Kasey. And with that, survive, advance, moving on to the next one. And without further ado, Special K, you're at home plate. What do we got?
I wish I could return my card for the day. You know, the conclusion that I just came to as you riddled off some of your success for the day is I think that everyone knows I would not be humble if I walked away with a quality card every single week. Like, I would find a way for production to play Start Me Up, I Never Stop over and over and over and over and over again. And I would just be completely obnoxious. So this is the universe sparing everybody from the humility that usually is K. Huddy. Okay, all right, boys, let's see what the card was, because there's one that I got, well, barely away with, I should say. I could start by saying that the Heisman potential, Dylan Gabriel, I had him for under 299.5 passing yards, and he came in at 291. So I was holding my breath that entire fourth quarter. I was like, take him out. He's done. They did their job. Everything is fine. Clearly, because of how that pounding went, Oregon State did not cover the spread as I anticipated that they would. I don't even know where to start on this one. Oregon State just, they had a good tone in the first quarter. They started to fizzle out in the second quarter. They disappeared for a minute, and then they started to bounce back into things. It's like their game plan was to just completely disappoint me and not cover the spread. But at least they kept Gabriel under 299 passing yards. Well, what do I say about Mario Williams? I thought that Tulane was going to be able to spread the ball a little more successfully versus Oklahoma. And they had some moments that were proving me right and made my theory feel more adequate than it turned out to be. But I mean, in terms of their quarterback, only 166 passing yards, 1 tutty, and none of that really lit up Mario Williams. He stunted at 36 receiving yards on the day. Jackson Arnold, I mean, come on. He was this close, over 1.5 passing tutties, and then walks away with 1 passing touchdown because the other one was an interception. My luck. How about that one? So no action from Arnold. I'll learn to put him in the rush QB category from here on out. And then speaking of rush QBs, I already mentioned how a Hudson disappointed a Hudson today. And no, it was not me disappointing Huddy Card. It was him having negative rush yards. How does that happen after you come off of a 16 rush yard performance? I took you for slightly over 14.5. Thought that was going to be the case. Purdue's run game should have been able to produce a little bit better, but whatever. I got it off my chest. That's our therapy session for our betting cards. Dubs wins again, taking the upper hand. So we got a lot of matchups down the stretch for college football today. But as for tonight, this is it for myself and Dubs Anderson. Make sure you join us next week here on SportsGrid.